Well, SABC News economics reporter Nosipho Radebe is at the meeting and spoke to the South African Reserve Bank Governor Lesetja Kganyago.
We are continuing coverage here at the G20 for the central bank governors as well as finance ministers track meeting. Day 3 now the first day rather of that meeting. And now we turn to the South African Reserve Bank Governor Lesetja Kganyago just for his remarks following that address that they had earlier in terms of border payments. And again, Governor, thank you so much for your time. Just give us your reflections on your remarks around border payments.
This is cross-border payments. What we have been working on in the G20 is a roadmap, and this is not just one of those dreams. It's a roadmap with concrete timelines out to 2027 to bring down the cost of cross-border payments. And we are looking at improving access to cross-border payments. We are looking at the cost effectiveness of cross-border payments. We are looking at the speed of cross-border payments. And lastly, we are looking at the transparency of cross-border payments. And what we had found is that the corridors in sub-Saharan Africa had become expensive to transmit money, and in some corridors the cost could be as much as 25%, and the target is to bring this cost down to 1% of the money that is being transmitted. And the conversation that we have just had now, where we also had the private sector in play, is that this can be done, and we have got this target set out for 2027, and we would see how far we take these things. This becomes important for the African continent because we have got the Africa Free Continental Free Trade Agreement, and all the trade that takes place on the African continent, trade must be settled. And for that, you actually need payment systems that work. And in SADC, we have got our gross settlement system. East Africa has a similar one. West Africa has a similar one. And the discussion that we have is how do we get the systems to be interconnected, be interoperable, so that it becomes easier to do cross-border payments.
And I guess, Governor, in terms of economic and trade fragmentation, we see that there's a potential there to disrupt sort of the global order. What sort of risk do you see there in terms of that picture?
Well, the fragmentation, which is driven by protectionism from one of the largest economies in the world, is that it could lead to a resurgence in inflation. And if you have inflation rise in the globe, central banks that had been reducing the amount of monetary policy restrictiveness might be forced to halt that process and might even reverse it if inflation starts to rise again.
All right. And just in terms of that sort of outlook, what I meant is that sort of global economic and trade fragmentation, that potential to sort of risk cross-border payments.
No, it has got, at the moment, the cross-border payments agenda has not been threatened by this fragmentation.
All right, we'll leave it there, Governor. Thank you so much. All right, that was the South African Reserve Bank Governor, Lesetja Kganyago, just giving us his remarks there in terms of cross-border payments, what they plan to implement, and also just his remarks there in terms of the issues around trade and economic fragmentation, the risks there that are presented, and what they sort of are thinking or reflecting in terms of that.